All right, what's up, you guys? Brian here with a real quick AEW Dynamite recap, recapping everything that went down on the post AEW All Out Toronto episode of Dynamite. Of course, All Out Toronto was this past Saturday. A lot of things went down. I'm not going to go right into it and into everything that went down. I'll just say a few things. We saw Hangman Adam Page successfully retain the AEW Men's World Championship against Kyle Fletcher in the main event. We saw Jurassic Express, Jack Perry, and Luchasaurus reunite. We saw Chris Statlander become the new AEW Women's World Champion, winning a four-way match over Tekla, Jamie Hayter, and Timeless Toni Storm, who she pinned. Plus a whole bunch more. If you guys did not see All Out Toronto, I would recommend checking it out. It was absolutely amazing. It's on it's on Triller TV. It's on HBO Max. I would recommend checking it out if you guys did not see it. So here is a rundown of what happened on the post AEW All Out Toronto episode of Dynamite. We started off the show with words from the AEW Men's World Champion Hangman Adam Page. We saw Brody King and Bandito, otherwise known as Brodito, successfully defend their AEW Tag Team Championships against the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona in a really solid opening match for those AEW Tag Team Championships. There was a backstage interview segment involving the conglomeration, Mark Briscoe, Willow Nightingale, Hologram, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong talking about the upcoming Trios match on tonight's episode, in which it was going to be Mark Briscoe and Hologram teaming up with a mystery partner to take on three members of the Don Callis family, Konosuke Takeshita, Hechicero, and AEW Unified Champion Kazuchika Okada. And they were teasing, even on Saturday, they teased that it was going to be, they gave hints that it was going to be freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, which anybody that heard the interview on Saturday that Mark Briscoe did, as well as on tonight's episode of Dynamite, you would have figured, for those that AEW fans, would have figured that it was going to be Orange Cassidy. We heard from the new AEW Women's World Champion Chris Statlander talking about her victory at All Out, talking about her title defense on tonight's episode of Dynamite against Mina Shirakawa, as well as what's been going on and what's the deal with her and Wheeler Yuta of the Death Riders. Hangman Adam Page had an open challenge for the AEW World Championship. He would successfully defend it against Lee Moriarty, the current Ring of Honor Pure Champion, in a very competitive contest. So that was it for that. We saw a video from All Out Toronto backstage involving Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, where Adam Copeland basically said he was going to leave and he didn't know if he was coming back. This was based on what happened after the match with Copeland and Christian Cage versus FTR, when we would see Beth Copeland or Beth Phoenix make an appearance. She would take out Stokely Hathaway. Then afterwards, while Copeland, Christian, and Beth were celebrating, Nick Wayne and Mama Wayne would appear on the stage. They would distract the three of them. That allowed FTR to attack from behind. Kip Sabian would come out of nowhere. He would handcuff Copeland to the middle rope, and FTR would proceed to not only hit a spike pile driver on Christian Cage, but they would also hit one on Beth Copeland. that happened at All Out on Saturday. So this video was shown on tonight's episode of Dynamite, what happened backstage with Copeland basically telling Christian that he's tired of it. He's letting this, stuff happen to his family, and he can't do it no more, and he's going to leave, and he doesn't know if he's coming back, if he's going to come back. So that was it for that. We heard from FTR, who basically did the heel thing, saying that, oh, it wasn't our fault. We tried, we forgive Beth, and it's all on Cope, and it's his fault what happened to Beth and Christian. This would bring out Willow Nightingale. She would get in FTR's faces, saying that Beth is an inspiration to her and to all the women in the locker rooms. That Beth was the reason why Willow got into the business. That Willow's able to do what she does, competes everywhere, and all this different stuff. Then it looked like FTR was going to go after her, but then before they could do anything, Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, Jet Speed, would come out to make the save. All this different stuff, and they would chase off FTR and Stokely Hathaway. We heard from MJF in a promo that happened after his tax and tables match, or tables and tax match, against Mark Briscoe this past Saturday at All Out. He talked about how he was once the biggest name in this business. Everybody was talking about him, and now he's basically a shell of his former self. That he's going to leave, and when he comes back, he's going to be more dangerous, and he's going to basically find the way that he used to be, being dangerous and vicious and all this other stuff. So that was pretty much it for that. Mark Briscoe, Hologram, and freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy defeated Konosuke Takeshita, Hechicero, and Kazuchika Okada in trios action. After the match, Kyle Fletcher, the current TNT champion, would come out and basically issue a challenge to Hologram for next week on the 6-year anniversary episode of Dynamite. He wants it to be title versus streak, the TNT championship versus Hologram's winning 34-0 winning streak. That is, now Kyle Fletcher is the current champion, the current TNT champion. However, this Saturday on Collision, it's announced that on Collision this Saturday that Kyle Fletcher will be defending the TNT championship against Commander. So if Commander wins, then it's going to be Commander versus Hologram next week, title versus streak. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. We saw a video package talking about Jurassic Express, Jack Perry, and Luchasaurus. It was announced that next week both men will make an appearance on Dynamite as Jurassic Express. We saw Claudio Castagnoli of the Death Riders, with the help of fellow Death Rider member Pac, who returned on Saturday to help Jon Moxley defeat Darby Allin in the Coffin match at All Out. Claudio would defeat Powerhouse Hobbs on tonight's episode of Dynamite. Afterwards, Samoa Joe would come out. It would then basically turn into a 4-on-2 where Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta would get involved to help Claudio and Pac quadruple team Hobbs and Joe. Then Hangman Adam Page would come out to make the save, and they would chase the Death Riders away. It would be announced that next week on Dynamite, in a huge trios match, it will be the AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page teaming up with Powerhouse Hobbs and Samoa Joe, 2/3 of the Trios champions, to take on Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Daniel Garcia of the Death Riders. That's going to be happening next week on Dynamite. We then heard the announcement, the special announcement from TNA, or from AEW owner. I don't know why I said TNA. There is some news concerning TNA, but I'll save that for tomorrow's Impact recap. We heard the special announcement from AEW owner Tony Khan, and it was what we expected it to be, what has been rumored for months now. We will be seeing in the future the crowning of the first ever AEW Women's Tag Team Champions. That was the major announcement. We also saw the unveiling of what the championships are going to look like, what they look like, and basically they took the AEW Tag Team titles and put Women's Tag Team on the championship. That's basically what it was. That was what all the hype was about. I wonder what the titles are going to look like. Basically, they took the AEW Tag Team titles and just put a plate and added a plate that says Women's Tag Team, where near the bottom by where champions are. So that was pretty much it for that. And then in the main event, it was Kris Statlander defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Mina Shirakawa. And this was a competitive contest. However, in the end, it was Kris Statlander walking out, still your AEW Women's World Champion, defeating Mina Shirakawa via pinfall. Afterwards, the Death Riders, Wheeler Yuta would come into the ring. Harley Cameron would come into the ring as well to celebrate with Statlander. Then the rest of the Death Riders would come out. Everybody was thinking that Kris Statlander was joining the Death Riders. That was not the case, as she would clothesline Yuta. She would avoid getting struck by Marina Shafir. She would flip the bird to Jon Moxley, and then along with Harley Cameron, would jump over the barricade and run away before any damage could be done. Then here comes Darby Allin with a flamethrower. Of course, Darby on Saturday tried to set Jon Moxley on fire, and he kind of did before Cruz put him out during a backstage segment later on in the show of All Out last Saturday night. And Darby would issue a challenge for Wrestle Dream. Jon Moxley, Darby Allin, I Quit match. And it looks like, I believe Moxley accepted. So it looks like it's going to be Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, I Quit match. And I feel like that flamethrower is gonna backfire, no pun intended, in Darby's face at the hands of Jon Moxley in that I Quit match. I have that feeling. So that was pretty much it for Dynamite this week. So this has been my recap of what went down on tonight's episode of Dynamite. I thought it was good. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. As always, I am Brian, and I will see you next time.